Internet. Eric here. Rachel's over there.
Hi.
We are back, finally, with another, I guess you would say, entry into our Please Don't Make Me Watch videos. What that is I pick a movie I think Rachel will hate, and she is forced to watch it without electronics, so she has to pay attention, and then vice versa, she does the same to me. This time it was my turn, and if you watched the live video 2 months ago on the YouTube channel... we always let our daughter pick Rachel's choices out of a bag, and Rachel was not looking forward to what our daughter picked. Today's Please Don't Make Me Watch for Rachel was Spider-Man 3. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Plot spoilers, all that crap. I'm getting tired of saying that. I don't know what year this came out, but it'll be in the title. So what we do in the beginning of every one of these videos, the person who was forced to watch the movie tries to give a recap of what they think happened in the movie, and then the other person tries to correct them. It doesn't have to be plot for plot, what you think happened, Rachel. So tell us pretty much how Spider-Man 3 went down, and then we'll discuss whether you hated it or not.
Okay. So, it's Spider-Man, so
There you go. All right, we're done.
You don't really need to know much.
Right.
Harry's mad at him. Mary Jane is mad at him because she doesn't think he's there for her. Spider-Man has an ego, and some alien dude appears and makes Spider-Man bad for a little bit. And then, for some reason, there's a guy named Sandman in it that tries to take over the world, I guess.
Close. Pretty close. You remember more than I thought. Do you remember why Harry is mad at Peter?
Yes. Harry is mad at Peter because he thinks that Spider-Man killed his dad.
All right. Pretty darn close. Okay, well... Yeah, you are pretty close. The alien dude is like an alien creature, comes down, attaches to Peter, makes him bad, which we'll get into. The Sandman is a character who, for some reason, fell into an experiment, which we'll try to explain.
Yeah.
And eventually, after Peter gets free of the alien costume, Eric from that 70s show shows up and becomes Venom.
Mm-hmm.
But you were pretty close. First off, we haven't seen this movie since theaters, and I remember leaving the theaters very confused and disappointed for scenes we will get to. But revisiting this, I didn't hate this one. Everyone says this one's a piece of shit. They hate it, blah, blah, blah. I can see why they would hate certain scenes of it. I did not hate this movie. Tobey Maguire still sucks for the most part. What's her name? Who's her name?
Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst, she still sucks for the most part. But that's because her dialogue is crap. James Franco, I think, when he's evil James Franco, as Harry, is pretty good. I like how much he hates Tobey Maguire, and we all feel for that because we all hate Tobey Maguire. I liked Thomas Hayden Church. He's the guy that played Sandman.
Oh, the guy from Wings.
Yeah, you know him from Wings. I like how he was... See, I always like these criminal characters that are doing it because, they got... I don't care. A lot of people think it's stupid. He's got, the dying daughter, so that's why he's the bank robber, and he's doing it to pay for, her medication or something like that. Let's see, what else was there? Aunt May is always good. She's the best actor, and this isn't a knock towards her because Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst suck. That Rosemary Harris, I think she's really good as Aunt May. She's dramatic when she needs to be dramatic. She's funny when she needs to be funny. She's very sweet in this movie, so she's always great. Topher Grace, why don't you what do you think about Topher Grace in this?
I don't mind Topher Grace. I couldn't figure out, because he just kind of appears out of nowhere. There's no introduction to him, really. He's just there.
He just shows up, yeah.
And I couldn't really figure out before he gets turned into Venom. I couldn't really figure out if he was kind of like a jerk or a bad guy, or if he was just honestly trying to get a story.
It's a little bit of both. He's there. Well, he's this new hotshot photographer, And I'm not comparing him to the Eddie Brock in the comics. There's no point because they're not the same. He's there because he's trying to be the new freelance photographer for the Bugle.
Right.
But he's also, we forgot to mention Bryce Dallas Howard as Gwen Stacy. She's really good.
Right.
For like the 10 minutes she's in it. She's very likable. He's her fiance, I think. They make it seem like he's in love with her and he's going to marry her, but she makes it seem like they only had like one date for like coffee.
Right.
And it didn't mean so. He might be a little psycho. He's fine. I was expecting a tough Eddie Brock because Eddie's supposed to be this tough guy.
Oh, is he?
But he wasn't like, he was like, Topher was his like sarcastic Eric Foreman self, but he wasn't like a weenie.
Yeah.
Like Eric was. So I thought he did really good. And then I liked him when he was Venom because he was still like the same sarcastic self. But I liked a lot of some of his lines. Like I liked the line where when he kidnaps Mary Jane, he grabs her and he says, you know, she gets my spider sense tingling, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That type of stuff. It's fun. A lot of people. What did you think of him as Venom? You don't know the Venom character, so what did you think of him?
The thing.
'Cause he's only Venom for like 10 minutes.
Right. I didn't mind him. The thing I didn't quite understand is why Peter was able to take off the Venom costume lickety split, right?
Well,
with no hesitation.
Well,
And then Topher, for whatever reason, couldn't get it off. Okay. That's what I didn't understand.
Okay, well, after we're done here, we'll talk about, you know, evil Peter. Basically, what the costume does is it bonds with its host and it makes them bad. And
right.
Peter knew eventually after he did his bad stuff, he had to separate. He had to separate from it.
Okay.
And when he went to the church, the bells, the church noises, the noise of the bells weakens the creature. So he was able to pull it off. He knew he had to be separated.
Right.
Eddie was so down on his luck because remember he's in the fucking church praying to God to kill Peter Parker or whatever. He's been fired. Gwen Stacy kicked him to the curb. So his life is shit. It bonds with him and he likes it. He accepts it. Like, because even when Peter tells him at the end, he's like, you know, it takes a hold of you. Mm-hmm. He says, I like it. So that's why he keeps it. I like the look of Venom. I thought he looked cool. I mean, he's not as over the top as he is in the comics, you know, look-wise, but I thought he was fine. I didn't mind. A lot of people were pissy because they gave Topher Grace fangs when, like, you saw his face and you thought he looked fine.
Yeah, I didn't understand that either. Like, because Peter didn't have that.
I think it's because Topher fully accepted it.
Oh.
So, either way, I thought he looked fine. And again, to go back to the Sandman, I liked him a lot. I thought the special effects, even though it reminded me of the Mummy, when he was going back and forth from sand to human, was really, really good. Let's keep going with the good stuff first.
Okay.
The action in this is still really good. I love pretty much every single fight in this movie. I love when Peter is fighting the Sandman in the subway, and you know they're knocking each other back and forth. I like when it's evil Spider-Man and he's like pushing his head up against the subway train and it's slowly like ripping his head apart, and then he kills the Sandman. The fights are really good. I love every fight. He has like two fights against Harry, in the alley, which is really, really good because. And I like a lot of people hated how the new Green Goblin looked.
Right.
Because he didn't look like a Power Ranger villain. He looked more like a snowboarder. I didn't care. I thought he looked fine.
I did think that, too, when we first watched it. I'm like, oh, he looks kind of lame.
Okay.
But
that's okay. I liked it. But their fights were great. I love the fight. You know, they have a really down-and-out, like, drag-out fight. Like, evil Peter and Harry in the mansion. And I will say this, before the stuff we're going to talk about, when Peter is bad fighting Harry, I liked him. Like when he flings that bomb right back into Harry's face and it blows up and he walks away like he doesn't give two shits.
Right.
That was cool. And then at the end when they had to team up to fight Venom and the Sandman, again, the fights were great. Now let's get to the part that everyone hates this movie for and that we knew we were in trouble for because we hadn't seen this in theaters. The DVD froze right before this shit happened, so we knew it as a sign. When Peter becomes bad, with air quotes, I don't know who wrote it. I don't know if it was Sam Raimi. I don't know if it was Tobey Maguire's idea. How does he decide he becomes bad, Rachel? What does he do to make the audience know that he's bad?
Start strutting down the...
Well, before that, what does he do to his look to make...
Oh, he pulls his bangs out front and puts eyeliner on or something.
Yes, that means he's evil.
He's emu.
Yeah. Emo.
Emo
is like the ostrich thing from Australia.
Well, whatever. Same thing.
It doesn't fucking matter.
Same thing.
It's so fucking dumb. And it's just... When he tries to act cocky, that's fucking dumb. Because he's literally strutting down the street.
Doing the guns.
The finger guns. They even make fun of it into the Spider-Verse. He comes out getting a new outfit and he like pelvic thrusts. Because I don't know, that is retarded. And then the scene where he tries to where he's in he goes to a jazz club. Where Mary Jane's working, he's on a date with Gwen Stacy. He's just doing the dick thing to
make Mary Jane jealous.
Which is fine, whatever, but when he's calling like the waitresses like hot legs and say, "Hey, can we have a table in the back?"
Yeah.
Like he's fucking Humphrey Bogart or some bullshit. And then when she's up there singing a song, and he goes up there and he's playing the piano like some idiot, and then he literally is leaping around on the tables, moving the chairs back and forth like some fool. It's not like just dumb, it's cringeworthy. Mm-hmm. And as much as I enjoyed this, I hated that. And I see why everybody hates this movie just because of those two scenes.
Well, no, I think there's more to it to dislike it than just those two scenes.
No, go ahead. That's what you're supposed to say.
No, I don't like the acting is bad. Mm-hmm.
Anyone in particular, or just because we're pretty much only shitting on
Tobey Maguire.
Tobey and what's your face?
Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah,
Harry's fine.
Who else did you not like then?
I just felt like they didn't need all three villains.
You're okay. A lot of people said that, but go ahead.
I feel like it was too much going on. Like, they could have made a movie out of each one of those villains.
Okay.
I felt like the thing with the Sandman really wasn't needed.
As a villain at all, you didn't want him?
Well, I mean, it was okay, but it was more so about the alien being. Mm-hmm.
And we don't see Venom. We don't see that Peter turned bad until like the first hour.
Right, and you don't even really see the Sandman really until like the last. Yeah. I mean, you see. They're
spread out, I think.
But I feel like it was a whole 45 minutes where you didn't even see him in the movie. So
yeah, here the first thing. This is like 2 hours and 15 minutes. They could have cut out a lot. And that's for sure.
Yeah,
I'll give it that.
I think they totally could have just made a story about the alien. I mean, they could have made the whole movie about him and Harry feuding.
Okay, if you could remove one of the villains, you got three of them, Harry, Venom, and Sandman. If you could remove one of them, what would you remove?
Probably the Sandman.
I don't like
just
the
because
Sandman.
It's not that I don't like him. I just think that he could have had his own movie, and you would have been able to know more about it instead of just little snippets here or there.
I do remember the director did not want Venom at all. It was just going to be a Harry and Sandman movie. Right. But everyone was like, everyone loves Venom because Venom's probably his most... Venom is like the Joker with Batman. He's the most popular villain.
Right.
Other than the Green Goblin. So they're like, you got to put him in. So that's why we got three. I didn't care that there was three of them. I thought it was spaced out fine with the three of them. But this movie is very fucking long. It's almost 2.5 hours. And I know every fucking Marvel movie in the world now is like that. I don't care. I want 90 minutes to 2 hours. You could have cut out at least 15 minutes of this.
I also thought Peter was very cocky in this one. And his powers, just from the start of the very beginning of the movie.
You mean when he's good?
Yeah.
Okay.
At the very start of the movie, he's like, everybody loves me. I'm awesome. And I was like, So it's clearly gone to his head.
Yeah.
And as much as I didn't really like the storyline of him and Mary Jane and how he got a big head and she was feeling rejected and jealous and he wasn't there for her, I felt for her in a way because, again, he wasn't there for her and she just needed somebody to talk to and he was like, well, what about my life?
Well,
and blah, 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 blah.
But, yes, he was being cocky. Yes, he was finally getting the notoriety. Yes, blah, blah, blah. But that's also the chance you take because at the end of the second movie, she knew he was Spider-Man and she still decided to stay with him, knowing he's going to have to go save the world.
Correct.
So it goes back and forth.
But then he also did things knowingly that would make her jealous.
Yeah, he did do the upside down kiss. With Gwen Stacy.
Right. I can think of her name for a second. I don't know. It's a tolerable movie. I just think it was way too long. Mm-hmm. And
although
I don't think that they needed all three villains in it.
Although you've said there's too many characters and villains, J. Jonah Jameson is still funny as the boss. He's still great. I love the scene where Betty Brant keeps bugging him to take his high blood pressure pills.
Right, that's funny.
And I like when he gets shystered for the little camera by the kid. Who else was I just going to say? I love Ursula, the little Russian girl who lives across the hall, who's got a crush on him. She's fun. I like her dad, even though he's a douchebag. He understands Peter's a good kid. Mm-hmm. Bruce Campbell was great as the maitre d' in the French restaurant. Mm-hmm. Overall, because I think we've said enough. We've talked. We're almost 17 minutes. I don't hate this movie. I understand why people don't like it a lot. Mm-hmm. I could see your point of the too many characters. Emo Peter is so fucking stupid. The dance sequence is so fucking stupid. The finger guns and the pelvic thrust, so fucking stupid. Mm-hmm. But, other than...
take a lot of that out and it would have been a more tolerable movie.
Yeah, I still like the fight scenes, because when you see a superhero movie, you want to see the action. The action is great. The characters that are not Peter and Mary Jane, I think, are great for the most part. Love the Sandman, love the special effects.
I do have one thing to say.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just forgot. So... we didn't really discuss what the Sandman, how he became the Sandman.
I don't fucking know.
We don't understand. He fell into a pit of sand and then it spun around. Yeah,
because he's on the lam because supposedly the police now think he's the one that shot Uncle Ben.
Right.
Which you find out it was an accident. He didn't mean to shoot him. He escapes from prison, sees his daughter. Gets his Freddy Krueger green sweater, and then he's running again through a field, just happens to fall down some gigantic hole that's in the middle of an open fucking field.
Yeah, in the middle of nowhere.
I don't think the scientists say what experiment they're doing. If they do, we weren't paying attention. Electricity zaps him, he becomes the Sandman.
Right.
And he can turn his body into sand. Whatever. I think they should have done a better job explaining the experiment.
That's kind of what I was thinking, because I'm like, they could have done without him, because they didn't really explain a whole lot about him.
Oh, well.
Anyway.
I still liked him. I thought Topher Grace was fine as Eddie and Venom, like Venom's look. I like the stuff with Harry. Okay, one thing I didn't like with Harry is, like, after the first fight with Peter, he gets amnesia, and then he, all happy-go-lucky dork. The dance sequence where he's dancing to Chubby Checkers, The Twist with Mary Jane. As sweet as that sounds, it came off bad because those two just don't have chemistry. I think it's because Kirsten Dunst is over 17 years old and James Franco doesn't.
Oh, stop.
Anyways, Spider-Man 3, I don't understand why people say it's garbage. I understand a lot of stuff they don't like about it, but it's still far from, like, the worst superhero movie ever. It's not, it's not the Hulk. You didn't like the first Iron Man. It's not the Hulk, the Ang Lee one. It's not the Green Lantern, which isn't as bad as a lot of people say, but no, it's far from. It's not the New Mutants, the one we just saw with the smoke giant bear or whatever the fuck it's called.
Only you can prevent forest fires.
Exactly. That's what the fuck we were thinking at the end of New Mutants. Anyways, I think Spider-Man 3 is still overall a good superhero movie. We always end this with the person who is forced to watch this to say whether this is the new worst that they've watched. Rachel, so far, the running champion, undefeated so far, is for you the man with the screaming brain, with Bruce Campbell, who's also in this movie, is the worst film I've made you watch so far.
Really?
Because last time we watched Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies, and you said you could at least make fun of that one, and it wasn't boring.
Well, but it was still at the bottom, right?
You said it was
1.1
yeah,
or something.
Yeah. I don't even think this is close from what we've said.
No,
is Spider-Man
it's
3
not.
worse than The Man with the Screaming Brain?
No, it's not worse than that.
There you go. Rachel loves this movie.
I don't love it.
Rachel really likes this movie.
Far from love or like.
Okay, Rachel doesn't hate this movie. That's it. Like and subscribe. Click the bell. Tell us what you think in the comments.
And tell us what the Sandman fell in.
Yeah, we'll explain the Sandman experiment if you can. Anyways, who cares? Comment below, like and subscribe, all that crap. I don't know when we'll be back. Rachel, do you have any idea what you're going to make me watch next, or are you going to keep that a secret?
I'm going to keep it a secret.
All right, I have a couple ideas, and I'm fucked. Cheers.